Hey guys, Ali Mansour here for Driving Line, and today we're going to wrap up something we've been testing for the last 15,000 miles, and that's what it's like to run a 35-inch tall tire with no lift on the all-new 2020 Jeep Gladiator.
I like that.
Now this is a 35 by 1150 Nitto Trail Grappler. Now the Trail Grappler is definitely known for its off-road prowess, and it definitely looks really good. One of the reasons that it was picked for the Gladiator platform is the fact that it works perfectly with this 17 by 7.5 inch wide Rubicon wheel. Whereas most 35 by 1250s recommend an 8 to 8.5 inch wheel, this is perfectly fine to run on a 7.5 inch wide wheel. Now this is a mud terrain radial, so even though it's going to be a little bit more aggressive than, let's say, an all-terrain, it definitely still handles very well on the road and balanced pretty well for this. Now overall, in terms of longevity, you're looking at a tire with 15,000 miles on it, and we still have a ton of tread block. You do get a little bit more road noise, as we mentioned, over an all-terrain, but it's not a super noticeable vibration or hum that you would get. Now, one thing's definitely worth noting: moving up to a 35-inch tall tire that's a little bit heavier than stock, we did notice about 1.5 miles per gallon off of the fuel economy. Now, with the 8-speed transmission, it still runs 8th gear on the highway, and in town it hasn't been a big deal, and part of this is thanks to the Rubicon comes from the factory with a set of 410 differential gears. Now let's talk a little bit about how everything fits. Now we came over here to Low Range to use our RTI ramp. We've tested this thing off-road, but we wanted to do a little controlled test and see. So this is completely stuffed, and we're nowhere near the inside of the fender well. We've got room for days. You know, part of this is thanks to the factory back spacing and keeping it tucked in, but absolutely in the back fender well, it is not a problem. So that's definitely a benefit. Now let's walk around up front, and you kind of get an idea of just how well this thing fits in here. Now, unlike where we've seen the JLs with an aftermarket wheel where it'll contact here and it's tight, it is tight, but you can still run your hand through here. And you know, off-road, we really didn't hear and experience a lot of rubbing, and you know, looking at it on the ramp, it's really no surprise. A 35 1150 Trail Grappler fits in here just about perfect. And again, we're on a stock wheel, so it's tucked into the vehicle quite nicely. But yeah, even at bump stop, we've definitely got good clearance, so that is a definite benefit.
I like that. I like that.
This Gladiator has the steel bumper group, and it has the cap portion where you can stubby it up already pulled off. Now it is very tight between the grill and the front bumper, but this is fully stuffed on the ramp, and we're still not rubbing, so that's very good. Like I say, you get tight, man. We probably got a little bit of room. I mean, you barely have room in between there, but it doesn't seem to be making enough contact to make a lot of noise. Something that's also worth noting is that the full-size 35 spare fits back here without really any issue between the tire and hitch. Now, we've seen guys actually run up to a 37, and you know, I think it really is going to depend on what tire you're running and what back spacing, if you're going to stay on the stock wheel back here. But 35 by 11 seems to work pretty fine. Overall, you know, there's no question 35 works without a lot of issue. The big thing is, you know, running a 35 1150 on the stock wheel seems to be, you know, almost the perfect formula for this, which is exactly what this thing has.
I like that.